Hello and welcome back to a brand new video of Fox Reacts. Today we're checking out a new one from Conniex about 10 Digimon that belong in other Digimon Evolution lines. Let's hop in and see which one is in the wrong spot. Well, in his opinion.
So the cool thing about Digivolution in Digimon is that it's kind of free, or at least more so than a lot of other franchises. A Palmon can become a Garurumon, or two Digimon that aren't Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon can become an Omnimon. But this type of Digivolution I think is a lot more common in the V-Pets and the video games. When it comes to the anime, manga, and even partner Digimon in some of the games, like Coronamon and Lunamon for example, there is very definitely also a design philosophy of linked Digivolution. For example, Agumon to Greymon to Metal Greymon and Wargreymon is a curated line that is supposed to resemble each other. And we've talked about Digimon that resemble each other and should be a Digivolution line, but aren't for various reasons, such as being the same level, like Gardramon and Blimpmon. But what about Digimon that look like they belong in different Digivolution lines? Digimon who either seem more appropriate for an existing Digimon's evolution line than the Digimon it becomes, or Digimon that just look like they should have been paired up a while ago as kind of a secondary evolution and just never have been. So in today's video, with thanks to DigiDestined level channel member Dresden Nova for the suggestion, I'm going to be listing 10 Digimon that belong in other Digivolution lines.
Alright, let's see who's on this list, because I'm curious. And I like to know
What is up, digital companions? My name is CarnieX, and welcome back to another video. And yeah, let's talk about some Digimon that I believe should be part of other Digivolution lines. And we're going to begin with Goromon, who should definitely Digivolve to Gotsumon. This one is absolutely baffling to me. Goromon and its pre-evolution Sunamon debuted in the Titan of Dust dim card last year as Sunarizamon Prevos. And with Sunamon, that definitely does make sense, but somehow nearly a year and a half on, we still don't have a full example of the Little Among Us becoming Gotsumon. They are clearly meant to be linked, and I'm even confident it's being set up that way, but the only way it's actually happened so far is sort of accidentally in the Digimon card game. My belief, honestly, is that Bandai, since the launch of the VB, struggled to fully implement the ability to have two rookies, even though it has always technically been possible. You can see this right back to the original PV, where Agumon goes to fight a Betamon, which isn't possible on the Agumon dim card, and so I think it was probably intended at one point for Titan of Dust to have Sunarizamon and Gotsumon, especially when you look at the full dim card lineup for that dim, but it's only really happened still in the card game a year and a half on. And I know just by saying any of these out loud time after time is going to activate, and probably Goromon will Digivolve to Gotsumon in the next Ghost Game episode. Then I had to squeak in one of my personal favorites, and that is of course that Fujinmon 100% looks like a Rapidmon evolution. It works great in its own Shinto trio, but to expand its horizons, it just makes sense to me. The speedy Wind God Digimon would Digivolve from Rapidmon specifically. As I've said before, a lot of Digimon fans really don't love Mega Gargamon, so I do think Fujinmon with its prominent greens, robotic parts, and speed really does feel like it should be part of an alternate Mega for Rapidmon, to the point I'm surprised we haven't really seen that yet. And then is Splashmon, who I think could be some kind of male-presenting evolution of the very feminine Ranamon. Ranamon typically fulfills the role of a champion, and Splashmon is an alternate, so they would work great as an evolution step. And Splashmon even has a lot in common with the Frontier Spirits. Its first mode being this humanoid creature, whose official art, probably just because it's the same artist, does have some reminiscence with Kazemon. But then it also has Splashmon Darkness mode, which to me is very reminiscent of the Beast Spirits in Frontier, a human mode and a beast mode in tandem. So in many ways, Splashmon could be a different ultimate for Ranamon, or maybe even a slide evolution for Calamarimon. Either way, it would fit really well. I also wanted to talk about this because there is a strange amount of parallel between the Frontier Evil Spirits and the Death Generals from Cross Wars combined, but I've never really been able to make a full enough firm connection between the two to make a full video out of it, so this is kind of my like, isn't that cool moment?
I just think they're neat.
And keeping our aquatic themes going, I really feel like Divemon should be a pre-evolution for Surfymon. We have so few shark Digimon. These two are kinda it, apart from Tylomon, who is actually a Tylosaurus, not a shark, but would still be a good champion for this line. I do think Divemon is fantastic for Pulsemon sport-themed evos, him representing swimming of course, but Divemon always felt like even more of an outlier than even the very odd evos Pulsemon have. I think because it's a swimmer, they decided to not give it any electricity to resist any in the bath vibes that might ensue, but that results in a Digimon that feels kind of outside its own evolution line, which is saying something when one of its fellow ultimates for the Pulsemon dim is a baseball that shoots other balls. As such, I think Divemon would be a great pre-evolution for Surfymon. Some people hate Surfymon, and I kinda get that, but we are so limited for sharks in Digimon that this just works really nicely, and what's extra fun is together they still keep up a theme of sport. Divemon being traditional pool or ocean swimming, and Surfymon of course being, well, surfing. So I think that's a cool connection. And then is a follow-up from my good friend Proto Dubs, who you can see with me over on my second channel, Khan E Extra, where we are doing a bunch of Digimon and non-Digimon gaming videos right now, including our probably most successful series right now, which is a Hacker's Memory modded Nuzlocke. If you want to go check that out, the link is in the card above me. We're having a ton of fun over there on Khan E Extra, and either at 10k or about to hit 10k, so your support would mean the world. Thank you. Hello. I hope you're enjoying this video about Digimon that belong in different evolution lines. Really? I just want to come back, be here to tell you about today's sponsor, Bye. Bye is, of course, a proxy service.
Back from the Bahia.
And Proto suggested that Astamon thoroughly feels like a Dobemon evolution. Most commonly, Astamon is either a sort of Psychmon warp Digivolution or a side evolution to Sangloopmon's main evolution, Matadormon. I personally agree that Astamon does really work as a Dobemon evo, specifically when you look at its head and the 3 claws on its feet that it has in common with Dobemon. I also think that kind of junkyard dog feel of Dobemon works very nicely to transition into Astamon's gun-wielding street demon man feel. I definitely do like Astamon for Sangloopmon. I still think that line works great, but it seems long overdue that Astamon should also be part of Dobemon's evolution line. Then is one Hunter suggested, who is also over there on Khan E Extra, and that is that Darkdramon feels way more like a Cyberdramon evolution than it does a Tankdramon evolution. I do think Darkdramon is great for D-Brigade, especially in that card archetype. D-Brigade is one of my favorite decks to play in the Digimon card game, but when you compare it to Commandramon, Sealsdramon, and Tankdramon, it always just felt like a slight misfit. Cyberdramon and Darkdramon are both Cyborg Dragon Digimon, which is a fantastic link. And yes, that is also what it shares with the D-Brigade, but you know, work with me here. Plus, I can 100% see Cyberdramon's 4 more raggedy wings becoming the big glowing wings of Darkdramon, which is not a connection we see from Tankdramon to Darkdramon. And much like Goromon and Gotsumon, we still have only ever been able to make this evolution work in the card game now that Cyberdramon and Darkdramon have cards. But aside from that, it's technically never happened in any game, VPET, or anime, and I think that's a shame because they really do work together. Next up is Parallelmon, who I firmly believe should be an Infamon evolution. Parallelmon is one of those Digimon that is kinda in V-Tamer's jail. It appeared in the V-Tamer manga and the more recent V-Tamer / Digimon Adventure 2020 crossover manga, and basically is a giant MacGuffin that allows different Digimon tamers to cross paths. So Taichi and Davis, or indeed Taichi and Taichi from 2020. Parallelmon actually debuted after Diaboromon and Infamon, which is super interesting. So while it's likely its omission from this line is probably just not having much use for it outside of manga crossover convenience, I think its more white body does actually make it a really logical evolution specifically for Infamon. I really do see this as being a firm contender for an alternate mega alongside Diaboromon, kind of the light and darkness, although they're both kind of evil. Though an interesting thing we could do with Parallelmon to kind of shake things up is combine the troublemaking nature of Infamon and its line with the world-ending nature of Arcadimon's line, specifically Arcadimon's ultimate level, which Parallelmon also highly resembles, and have Infamon and Arcadimon fuse or jogress to become Parallelmon. And then is the suggestion that prompted this video.
And we're back.
From channel member Dresden Nova, and that is that Blitz Greymon totally feels a lot more appropriate as a Rise Greymon mega than Shine Greymon does. Don't get me wrong, I can see how Shine Greymon works from Rise Greymon, but Blitz Greymon I think does so much more for the design philosophy of Rise Greymon and is more interesting. The red armor that is kind of on the top half of Rise Greymon could be seen as fully overtaking and protecting the body when it becomes Blitz Greymon, getting to keep the guns and the wing spines of Rise, even connecting into those 2 big wing guns, which I think is a better evolution of those wings than the very similar, samey looking one Shine Greymon has. Again, Shine Greymon is great, but it always frustrated me that it totally abandoned the giant gun concept from Rise Greymon, and so I could firmly see Blitz Greymon being a fantastic replacement or alternate for it. Then is one that just absolutely baffles me. Normally, Grademon digivolves from Raptordramon, and you know, is fine, I guess, but a Digimon that debuted debuted later, I think is a way better Prevo for Greymon now, and yet it's never happened. And that is Zuba Igamon, Zubamon's champion form. Golden sword-focused Digimon feeling like they should naturally be connected somehow, but never have been. This may even be a hot take, but I think Greymon is slightly more interesting than Duramon and Durandamon, and I regularly mix up Duramon and Durandamon anyway. Greymon would give us more night feels, and then Duramon and Durandamon could continue to focus on the Legend Arm side of things, leading into Ragnarlordmon, and then Greymon would represent Duramon stepping out on its own and being a Digimon in its own right, before becoming, I don't know, Alphamon or something. Make this one happen, Bandai, please. And finally is a crazy one to me, one that I cannot believe has taken as long as it did for a connection to form, and that is that originally somehow Gaussmon was not part of Greymon 2010's evolution line. Gaussmon debuted in Cross Wars in 2010 and most commonly digicrossed to Porn Gaussmon, and Greymon 2010 and surprisingly debuted in Cross Wars in 2010 and was used as fodder for a bunch of Digicross. They are both dark blue dinosaur Digimon. Gaussmon is a rookie and Greymon's a champion who never got a 2010 Agumon of its own, and yet that evolution had never happened until this year in Digimon card game BT10, which released in May in Japan and finally linked the two via card art and the ability to digivolve into each other. Now this isn't technically full confirmation that Bandai has finally acknowledged the link between these two, but it does at least mean someone at Bandai has, or a few people have. And it only took us 12 years to get here, 12 years when none of this had happened before, where Gaussmon's first debut was a red card and there was no Greymon 2010 card. So I do hope going forward, now that someone has noticed that connection, we will start seeing them in more things. V-Pets, anime, video games. A great example of this is how someone finally noticed the link between Kokabuterimon and Beetlemon in card art, and now Kokabuterimon is one of the rookies on Beetlemon's Dim card that's coming out. The card game also does things like smooth over some of those rough edges like Goromon and Gotsumon. So I do think the future is bright for more of these disconnected, connected Digimon, and hopefully the card game will be the thing that will let us see more of them coming together. But that's it, my list of 10 Digimon who absolutely belong in other Digimon's Digivolution lines but have not been connected apart from the card game in some instances. Let me know in the comments down below your Digimon that you think should be like the de facto Digivolution for another Digimon but isn't, or just a Digimon that you think would work nicely in tandem with another. Huge shout out to my Sovereign DDK14 as well as...
And that is where we're gonna leave off today's video. So, I want you all to remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Down in the description will be a link to the original videos. Remember to support the original creator and all they do. And I'll see all of you folks next time. Have a good one.